This week's edition of our Four Questions Journalist Spotlight is brought to you by Leff Atlanta Media, Atlanta's best journalist database. Subscribe at leffsatlantamedia.com. Welcome to the next edition of our Four Questions Journalist Spotlight. We are talking today with Hannah Yahne from the Appen Media Group in the North Atlanta, North Fulton area. Hello, Hannah. Thanks for being with us today.
Hey, Mitch, thank you.
So you are kind of what are the newer additions to the Appen group? So I wanted to kind of give folks a chance to get to know you and learn about kind of what you cover and what you like and what you don't like and then some fun things about you. And I always give the heads up. I'm gonna ask you the coolest thing about Hannah at some point in this conversation. So you have probably about 17 minutes to think about what that coolest thing is.
Oh,
Uh,
goodness.
all right. So let's start with what's your role at Appen? What's your focus? What are you covering?
Yeah, so I cover my cities of focus are Roswell and Milton, and so heavy on local government. I am at every single council meeting for both cities. So really focusing on that, a lot of transportation issues, recreation and parks is really big up there. So that's a lot of what I'm doing, a lot of conversations surrounding those. And then truly anything and everything Roswell and Milton. So a lot of community, different businesses that are up there. We often do like monthly business features. And so I'm always looking for either nonprofits or just interesting and unique businesses to speak to and help get the word out about them. I always find that's really fun. Really schools. I cover Fulton County schools as well, so that's a big one. North Fulton schools, because Fulton County is
Because
quite long.
Fulton's a beast, and it goes covers half the state, right?
All right, Mitch here with a little reminder to subscribe today to our Leff Atlanta Media database, the best database of Atlanta media. You get to search all the media in town, get to look at their beats, get the contact information, get to know what they like. You also get our great PR guidelines. You learn how to do PR. You get our media blog, Mitch's Media Musings, and you get to see our Four Questions Journalist Spotlight. So subscribe today.
Oh yes, that is for sure. Yeah, but it's
Well,
been really fun.
yeah. Well, I should have started this way. So
Yeah.
The Appen Media Group covers kind of a good stretch of kind of the north part of Atlanta. Can you kind of give
Mhm.
us a take for, in addition to the areas that you cover, what are some of the other areas that Appen covers?
Yeah, definitely. So, Roswell and Milton is me, and then we have a reporter covering Dunwoody and Sandy Springs, and then Johns Creek. Um, and then I believe we touch on Forsyth County, not too heavily. And then we have like a arm down in Decatur as well. So, covering, yeah, in Decatur. Decatur-ish is that
Gators. Yeah,
area.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's our buddy Dan Wiesenhunt down there in Decatur, covering covering
Yes.
covering the Decatur area. Dan's
Good
awesome.
work.
Uh, so I wanted to give that kind of umbrella so folks can kind of have the big picture of what everybody else
Yeah.
covers and kind of what you cover. And I know you've got another new colleague that we'll probably talk to in a couple of months and kind of get her background and a little bit of her feedback also.
Yeah,
But
she's
okay,
fun.
yeah. But tell us a little bit about kind of what's your what's been your path? Kind of where did you work before
Mhm.
you got to Appen?
Yeah, so I graduated from the University of Georgia in 2024. And after that, I spent a couple of months and over the summer kind of gaining a couple more published pieces, a bit more copy to show off. And then I was actually hired with a Times Journal and wrote for the Rockdale Citizen and Henry Herald, so in Rockdale County and Henry County, doing the same type of beat, local government. It was really interesting. It's a lot smaller counties down there, smaller population. But it was really interesting. It was to have that front seat immediately out of school, to have that kind of access to local officials and especially to a publication that published biweekly. And I was lucky enough to be able to actually be printed right out of school. So that was really, really neat. really fun. I spent around a year down there, and kind of right off the bat, I got hit with a really big story. The biolab chemical fire happened in Conyers, Georgia in September 2024. And so that was really like what I focused on for a good majority of my time down there. That was really interesting, getting to be once again front seat to a community that was going through such an interesting circumstance and facing such an interesting set of problems. And it really allowed me to expand, to learn about a sector that I never thought I would be paying attention to, which was chemicals and kind of like the public safety industry, and learning a lot about OSHA and different elements of that sort. But it gave me a lot of unique opportunities. I got to speak at a couple of different things. I went and spoke to a class at Emory. So that was just really cool, being able to learn, just being able to learn while I was working and becoming a professional. That was really fun down there.
I think a lot of people learned a lot of things they didn't expect to have to know about with that biolab fire, from
Hmm.
from the chemical perspective. And there were, and I've been following news here in Atlanta for a long time, and this was not the first time that biolab had issues.
Hmm.
There was, I was talking to a reporter, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this happened 3 years ago." It's like, this happened like 15 years ago or
Right.
20 years ago. I mean, this was not this was not their first time
I
at the
know.
bat with this kind of thing. Um,
Yes. Very interesting aspect of that story to uncover.
well, and and it's it's still ongoing. I mean, there's still
Hmm.
lawsuits and environmental issues and health issues, and
For sure.
I mean, they're a big employer in that area, right?
Uh, Oh yeah, they were. And now, of course, they're no longer operating there. So that was a whole nother aspect, was this community is losing out on some, eventually some tax revenue was going to, I think it was in the millions, multi-millions, that they
Right,
were going to
right.
eventually lose. So yeah, a lot of different and interesting facets. I think Rockdale County, a lot of definitely some code updates I could foresee
Yeah, yeah,
happening.
yeah. So in your area, so you're saying City Hall, city
Hmm.
issues, kind of big for you, in the two cities and two areas that you're covering. Are there are there any kind of what are the, I guess, what are the big issues, or are there any kind of big issues that are really percolating around on that part of town?
Yeah. So what's interesting, it's really interesting. Milton, the two issues in the areas are really different because, of course, Milton is more agricultural, not as dense as Roswell. And so that one recently has been big on agricultural residential like zoning regulations, zoning code. They're going through some changes there right now. So that's been interesting. um, Residents have a lot to say about that, which is really nice. All the communities that I cover have been really involved, which I think is really unique. Um, uh, Showing up at city council meetings, taking advantage of public comment, speaking with officials after public information meetings. It's been really interesting to see. So that's been a big one. Residents are helping to shape that not legislation, but kind of that language, that code language. So that's interesting. Biggest thing that has happened in Roswell, they always have something happening, but they recently approved downtown parking to take effect in their, or pay to park pricing to take effect in their downtown area. And so that's a big one that I know residents and businesses alike are kind of disappointed about, definitely. And I know that officials are as well. No one wanted to make that decision. Unfortunately, they were kind of like backed into it. And so definitely a bummer for them, but something I want to look at going forward is effects on the downtown area businesses. A lot of them spoke during public comment, fearing that it'll keep customers away from their business, and that in effect decreasing tax sales tax revenue for the city instead of keeping like increasing it, like they could be incentivizing purchase. So
Right.
really
So
interesting.
right, there's that balance. Like, they're trying to bring revenue in this bucket, but maybe decreasing revenue coming in the other bucket.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
when was there? maybe I think this is for Roswell. I was thinking when there's some issues about during the construction, during some of the road construction, there were some businesses that were worried about getting not necessarily cut off, but having business impacted.
Definitely. I could definitely see that. There's a lot of that downtown area, a lot of potential stories for just like speaking to the community about how it's going to impact area down there. Because I could definitely see some of that construction getting even messier than it already is.
Do you find when you're when you're at these city hall meetings, are you the only journalist there usually?
Yes. Yeah, it was actually goofy. I was at a committees of council meeting, which is kind of their work sessions on Tuesday nights after their council meetings, where they're just reviewing some new agenda items that are going to come forward. And they were proposing a drone policy, the police station was, and a camera from, I forget what station, but one of the Metro Atlanta news stations came in and set up and was taking video, and all the heads kind of turned, and we were all looking at each other like, what are they doing here? Like, what's the hot topic item we're all not aware of? And it was the drones,
Yeah,
which, to
yeah,
be fair, is was newsworthy. But yes, normally I am the only journalist at those meetings.
yeah. The drones and kind of the surveillance issues have become that's become kind of a hot topic. There's just a lot of cities
Hmm.
that are kind of add, that are adding that, and the police tout it as a way to kind of track people quickly, and it's another tool. And you know, I think there's value in that, but as
Hmm.
with anything, you got to kind of watch how it's used and understand how the data is stored and
Yeah.
who has access to it and all that kind of thing.
Definitely. And council members were raising those same questions to staff. And it'll be interesting. It seemed they currently have drones, but these would be first responder drones that they use to get eyes on the situation fastest. And that would be their primary use. So interesting effort that they're bringing forward for sure.
Yeah, and I think, excuse me, I got a scratchy throat. I think
You're
most
good.
of what I appreciate, with what you guys do in Decatur-ish and some of the neighbor papers and the Marietta paper is
Mm.
that ability to be in those council meetings and see all that and be able to ask questions. 'Cause, people complain about government's doing this or government spending money on this, but it's journalists like Appen, like what you guys are doing that are there and asking the questions. Uh,
Hmm.
and yeah, and we see around the country as journalism gets cut back, it's a lot of the smaller community papers that take the brunt of that, and that impacts the abilities of smaller communities to know what their government's doing and ask questions. And yeah, I have no issues with journalists asking government questions. I mean, that's your role. And to me, any any
Yes.
any government official who complains about a journalist asking questions is kind of missing the point of what their job is. You're supposed to
Yeah.
be able to answer those questions about how you're spending money and be accountable to your constituents and the local journalists are the people who do that. Are there any other stories in either of your two areas that you're looking at kind of 3 months, 6 months down the road, they're gonna be key?
Um, Definitely GDOT and Highway 9. That big project is going to be really impactful in these areas. I know Milton has taken over their portion of the Highway 9 project, and so they're actually running those day-to-day operations and going to be reimbursed by the Georgia Department of Transportation at the end of it. But that along with that comes renewing design plans and like speaking with property owners along that path that are going to be directly impacted as they turn the 2 lane road into a 4 lane, add a median in the middle and some sidewalks. So definitely going to be a change from what they see in that area now. So that is going to be interesting. Oh.
Um, so I mean, I think probably covering city government is probably almost a full-time job. Do you have time to cover other kind of more feature-y kinds of news in your area?
Yes, luckily I do. Yeah, that is a big part of it. And truthfully, my favorite part. I think it's so special. And that's the fun of local news, I think, is being able to take the time that you do have these weekly stories that are expected to be turned in based on letter government stories. But otherwise, it is really that the community based stories that are filling the paper, which is really nice. So I have gotten to do some good feature stories. I My favorite ones are schools and children that are making an impact and making a change. And so one that I did recently was a nonprofit. It's called Pedal Forward, and it's a kid who's still in high school. He's in his junior year at Cambridge, I believe. It's based out of Milton, and they offer free bike lessons to anyone, truly anyone. But he started the program because REI, the retailer, stopped like a community based program that taught kids how to ride bikes. And so
Ah,
he said, this is going to be a problem. How are the kids that access this, the families that access this resource, going to continue to receive those lessons? And so he took it upon himself to solve it. And every kid gets a free bike and helmet at the lessons, and it's completely free to participate. It is just absolutely incredible to see the work he's been able to do in just a year. It truly
that's
is amazing.
that's great, and I'm really glad you're able to focus on those kinds of things. 'Cause, I don't know, when there's challenges in the economy and people are struggling, it's a lot of those nonprofits that fill the void, that help
Hmm.
kind of fill in the, as they say, the safety net, the pieces in the safety net that might not be taken care of by government services or other resources.
Yeah.
Um,
And things people don't think about too, like recreation activities or just like life skills that people need. Like the people should know how to ride a bike and should be able to do something like that. So,
right, right, and for for some families, if they don't have if a parent, they didn't have that skill, then it's hard
yeah.
to pass that down. And
Yeah.
sometimes if you don't have the money for a bike or you just don't have the time, and honestly, sometimes it's good to have a third party person to
Hmm.
teach your kid how to do things, because kids will listen to other people where they won't listen to their parents. So
That is
that
true.
I learned that with my kids, and that is definitely a thing. Um,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I you know told my kid, hey, you should do this and this and this, and my wife's like, she's not listening. And then we said, we tell somebody else, hey, tell him to do this. And he's like, oh man, this is a great idea. Why wasn't I do this before? We're like,
Oh, I told you to.
we've been telling you that for the last 12 years to do this.
Right.
But good, power to you. Glad you're
You
doing it
figured it
now.
out.
So you figured it
Yeah.
out. Yeah. That's all good.
So
Um,
funny.
are there tips you might give for organizations, communicators, if they want to get stories to you? How would you suggest they do that? What's a good process?
Truly reaching out directly is going to be the best way to do that. It is just Hannah at appenmedia.com, HANNAH. And yeah, that is going to be the best way. I always tell people whenever I get to go to events, I hand them a card and I'm like, please reach out. Any newsworthy events that you see your organization doing or other people in the community, individuals that are a part of your organization that are doing something unique or outstanding that you think other people would find interesting. I am always all ears.
And in terms of lead time,
Mhm.
you are writing stories every day, a couple of times a day, weekly. What's kind of your cadence?
I'm writing multiple stories a day. If I don't write a story, I feel weird. Um, because I have two papers deadline twice a week. So yeah, I'm writing multiple, at least two stories a day, and probably always planning for the next week out. Sometimes it is like a day turnaround where I have a council meeting Monday night and I'm having turnaround for deadline Tuesday afternoon. So those are pretty rushed, but other times, especially business features and yeah, more community-based stories, I have more flexibility with those, which is nice. But yeah, pretty typical that I am there's a pretty quick turnaround going on.
Yeah. So it'd probably be better for folks if they have, say, an event coming up in a month to let you know two or three weeks in advance that this is coming
Yes.
up. So yeah, and I know you guys have kind of a calendar online too, so you can get things on the calendar, that kind of thing. But
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks is a great rule of thumb, especially if you are, or if you, someone is interested in having like an event pre-seed run, like kind of a, hey, heads up to the community, this is happening. Because our papers, depending on the deadline, may need up to a week before the event to make sure that it actually runs prior.
yeah, I always ask my clients when we're talking about events, I'll ask them, so okay, do you need coverage before to drive people to the event, or do you just want coverage of the event so people know it happened? Because if it's the latter, then we'll try to get a reporter to the event.
Right.
But if it's really important to let people know the event is happening and you want them to know and plan for it, then that's kind of a different dynamic, and you got to figure out different ways to give a reporter the elements they need to write a story in advance. Maybe you need pictures from the year before, or
Right.
examples of people to talk to about, hey, this is coming up, uh, as opposed to saying, hey, I've got this event coming up tomorrow and we'd like you to write a story about it today and be in the paper
Right.
today, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And my editor on my last paper told me, she was like, it's great that you're covering these events, but she was like, we need to let people know that they're happening before that, so that they can
Right,
go to
right,
them.
right,
And I
right.
was like, yeah, you're right. And so truly, if it is that the situation, photos are always great because obviously people draw people. And if there's not a press, I speak to some people who they're nervous that they're like, oh, I don't have a press release, like I won't have one. And I'm like, I can either send over 3 questions and like write something up for you, or 10-minute phone call. And it can be so easy that I can learn some basic facts about the event and whip something up.
Yeah, I get calls from smaller organizations a lot, and I'll kind of have like a template kind of media advisory that I'll say, just
Hmm.
fill this out, who, what, when, where, why, and you'll get 90% of what the reporter needs to at least start the story.
Yes.
But the why is something that gets dropped a lot. I was like, why are you doing this event? What's the need for it?
Yes.
That's the story, right? The why does this why do people care? Yeah,
Yep.
I have some events where especially TV, they'll come out like the day of the event, and this story airs like that night after the event is over, which is like, okay, yeah, that's nice, but you know, doesn't do me any good if I need to drive people to the event. Uh,
Yeah.
so we always have to figure out how do we create those opportunities 2 or 3 days ahead of time. And I find that
Hmm.
Atlanta in general, and I don't, I've lived here for a long time, so I don't necessarily know other cities, but I find that people in Atlanta are a last minute decision kind of folks, right? You're laughing because you probably see that too. It's like,
Oh, because I am one.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, like, yeah, I'm not going to decide a month before that I'm going to this concert,
Hmm.
but you know, 2 days before, I'm going to be like, hey, what should I do this
That
weekend? And
sounds fun.
right, that sounds fun. And for event organizer, it drives you nuts because you're like, okay,
Yes.
how much beer do I need for this? How much, how many chairs do I need? How many people are actually
Yeah.
coming? Am I going to make enough money to cover my costs for this event? Yeah, it's that kind of thing. So you kind of figure out how to push it. All right,
Hmm.
let's jump into kind of a little bit of I call this a little bit of a lightning round, but
Ooh,
um,
okay.
kind of fun questions, and you don't have to be too long with these. But first question is going to be, what's something cool or fun about Hannah that folks might not know? And it could be a hobby or a talent, something you collect, anything like that.
Recently I have been getting into crafts. I've been trying to be a little crafty, and so I've been making keychains, earrings, bookmarks with beads. And so I have like, obvious, yeah, I get a collection of beads and I make keychains and bracelets and things. And actually will soon be selling some of them out of my boyfriend's mom's store, and just as a little keychain you can grab by the counter,
All right, so
something, but just a fun
let's
little hobby.
let's give the boyfriend's mom's store a little love, and that way people will know where to find your stuff, right?
Oh yes, it is home again in Eatonton. So far out,
Again,
but if you're ever down in the area.
okay, all right. Um, last book you've read or the last podcast you've listened to, one or the other.
Um, well, big on podcasts. So my last podcast was Hooked. It is about and it's an interesting turn on an opioid epidemic. And so it's a look at how an opioid addiction affected this man's life and turned him into a bank robber. So very
All right,
interesting.
all right, I'll check that one out. Favorite local restaurant?
Um, uh, right off the top of my head is Blue India in Midtown.
Oh, that is a good one. All right.
Yeah.
Um, favorite guilty pleasure?
Oh gosh. Candy. Like, I know that's basic, but it
Thin,
really is.
Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies. Yeah,
Yes, I just had a box. I needed to.
I'm trying to be good. Sometimes I'll eat the whole sleeve, but I've been eating like two at a time at night, so I'm being good.
Do you put
Uh,
them in the fridge?
don't, don't. I just that although I have put them in the freezer at times. I've
Yeah,
also, I've
yeah.
also,
A
I've also,
cold thin mint.
I've also used them for cobblers where you crush them up and put them on top. Those are really good.
Genius.
Yeah, that's a good turn. Um, favorite local getaway?
Ooh, a local getaway. Um, I live right next to Piedmont Park, so I'm often there. I often go lay a blanket out there and just like to hang. Sometimes I'll bring my dog, but otherwise, my sister is in school in Athens right now at UGA. So I'll go up and visit her, and that's always nice because I get to go back to my old stomping
Get to
grounds
go to.
and
That's good. That's good. All
also
right.
get to see my sister.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, my sister's there too, right?
Yeah,
You
right.
can go there and not visit your sister, I guess, right?
Every once in a while.
She would not be happy if you did that. But well, you're
No, I
here and
need
you're
a
the
place to stay.
well, there you go. All right. Favorite non-work hobby?
Mm, non-work hobby. I am a big reader. I'd say I'm artistic, but I do paint by numbers, so I'm not quite sure how you can qualify that. Um, yeah, those are
All right.
probably it.
Very good. Very good. All right. Anything else that we haven't talked about your work that we should mention? Like we
Um,
and I'll drop your email into the show
oh,
notes, so we'll make sure
yes.
I'll make sure that's in there.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
No, I really don't think so, other than the fact that this is just journalism is what I've always wanted to do, and I am just so lucky that I get to do it in North Atlanta and communities I've grown up around and getting to visit and slowly becoming a part of. It's really, really special.
Excellent. We have been talking with Hannah Yahne with the Appen Papers. Covers Appen covers the kind of the whole North Fulton area or North Atlanta area. Look for her at the appenmedia.com. Is that the website? Appen Media,
Yes,
Appen Media Group. Wait a minute, I gotta get that right.
it should just be
Uh,
Appen Media,
okay, Appen Media. Okay,
but thanks for checking.
yeah. Because I don't want Carl and Hans to give me a call and say you got the website wrong. Okay, we'll make sure we got the
No,
website.
seriously. It is appenmedia.com,
There we go.
confirmed.
Okay, we got yeah. You got it right. I was unsure. Hannah got it right. Okay, you hear that, guys? Hannah got it right. All right,
I
very
do
good.
get it right.
There you go. There we go. Uh, thank you everyone for listening. As always, you can find our archive of journalist spotlights on YouTube in the video format, and if you want to listen in audio format, it's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Amazon Podcasts and all of those places where you find podcasts, although Apple Podcast seems to be the popular place for people to find it. And if you are looking for our database and website of Atlanta Media, go to leffsatlantamedia.com where you can get our database of media and our Mitch's Media Musings monthly newsletter and our cool kind of PR guidelines. If you're dipping your foot into public relations and not sure how to do it, get in there and it'll give you kind of templates and guidance and some good ideas about getting started. Hannah, thank you so much for being with us today.
Of course. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And we'll see everyone in 2 weeks.